The book of Isaiah captures Israel's captivity under the Assyrian, explained in the beginning chapters, and Babylon empires, explained in the later chapters, and this is due to God's judgment over his people. God brought judgment to the land due to corruption of leaders, idolatry of other gods, and all the disruption of sin made by the people of Israel. These were acts of rebellion and all that displeased God. Also in the book of Isaiah were the prophecies of the birth of Jesus that proclaimed the message of hope. The hope was that there be the future king of Israel from the line of David, and God's fulfillment to his covenant promises, shown in Isaiah chapter 11. The message of hope in the book of Isaiah brings redemption from Israel's rebellious and sinful acts, delivering justice, peace, and love for God's kingdom here on earth. Now, many questions about the justice of God, to how justice was served in the Isaiah chapters. One would believe God as the God of justice and righteousness, and through this belief is God's nature of being the good Heavenly Father. As a good Heavenly Father, he brings discipline to his children. In Hebrews chapter 12, verse 4 to 11, this summarizes God's expression of his love to us. Even in times where one would choose to dishonor him, these verses give clarity that God brings love to his children to guide them to the path of righteousness. He wants the best for us, and in order for us to understand his love, we choose godly wisdom over sinful desires. This is what Isaiah chapter 12, verses 1 to 6 comes back to. We rejoice because of God's love to us. God holds anger to what displeases him. And in Isaiah chapters, we see that the examples were corruption of leaders, injustice to the poor, idolatry to other gods, hatred to people. But at the same time, he brings opportunities for his people to turn away from the consequences of sin. The evil of this world is temporary, but as Jesus said to his disciples in New International Version, I have told you these things so that in me you may have peace. In this world you will have trouble, but take heart, I have overcome the world. It says in John chapter 16, verse 33. God created this world to be good. Therefore, all his creation must strive for his excellency, especially to his people, since he created us as his perfect image. At times, we get confused about what to choose, a choice between godly wisdom or temporary sin. Both choices have different sets of outcomes, path of righteousness and continuance of God's blessings, or path of destruction and grief. Just like Israel, God brought judgment to his chosen nation because he wants the suffering to end. He wants the best for Israel. He wants the best for you. He wanted to declare to his people that there is hope, hope for Israel and to the rest of the world.